345, 340
325
yards a game. So it's not extremely, out there. Drew Lock and Aaron Rodgers have both thrown 11 touchdowns.
Wow, okay.
And Drew Lock is sitting at 154.3 QB rating.
Wow.
He is just throwing only to his receivers.
So he's the highest quarterback rating of the starters, huh? Yeah.
Highest quarterback rating of the starters, yeah. On to the running backs. Christian McCaffrey has 632 rushing yards, a little over 200 yards a game.
Oof. Wow.
Saquon Barkley leads all running backs with 9 rushing touchdowns. And the Jets are trying to kill Le'Veon Bell. He has 74 carries in 3 games. So, yeah, he is he's going to be hurt and tired come the mid-season.
And he always hurt and tired.
Yeah, he is. Wide receivers, Michael Thomas has 579 yards.
Wow, okay.
So Drew knows who he can throw to. As far as touchdowns, we have 4 receivers with 6 touchdowns each.
Wow.
Irv Smith Jr. of the Vikings, Michael Thomas, Henry Ruggs from the Raiders, and Reggie Davis from the Chargers.
Wow, he got 6 touchdowns. Reggie Davis is a newly acquired free agent
yes, he was.
Champ has picked up.
I feel like he got 5 of those touchdowns versus me, maybe, but we'll keep
I think so. Yeah. Interceptions. We have Anthony Harris of the Vikings, who has 4, and Ronnie Harrison of the Broncos, who has 4. Now, Ronnie Harrison just moved over to the Broncos in a trade from the Browns for week 3. Ronnie had no interceptions for the Browns, so he pulled all 4 of those interceptions in one game.
You mean against the Bucks? I watched that game.
Yes.
He looked like he was throwing right at him, trying to penetrate that number 2.
Hey, that was an amazing trade that he picked up. Great value.
Looking at forced fumbles, Kenneth Murray Jr. of the Chargers has 4. When you go to sacks, same guy, Kenneth Murray Jr. has 6 sacks this season.
Jesus.
Yep. Bobby Okereke of the Colts has 32 tackles, so he's a busy man. Defensive touchdowns, again, Ronnie Harrison and Micah Hyde from the Bills.
Okay.
On to the people who use their feet. Eddie Pinheiro of the Bears is 6 for 6 on his field goals. Mason Crosby of the Packers is 17 of 18. And looking at touchbacks, Graham Gano of the Giants, Justin Tucker for the Ravens, and Tucker McCann from Tennessee. They all have 8. Now for the exciting portion, we look at the longest plays for each of them. The longest punt we have so far is Michael Dixon from Seattle, has a 54-yard punt. Kevin King from the Packers has a 104-yard interception return. I also had a 104 interception return, but that was in one of my 5 games against the Texans. So that one didn't count.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah. J.K. Robbins and Lamar Jackson, both of the Ravens, lead with 82-yard rushes. The longest pass is Pat Mahomes to Tyreek Hill for 90 yards. The longest kick return is Tyreek Hill, 43-yard kick return.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I left out field goals and punt returns. Both of them belong to the Texans. Both of them 58 yards. Both of them against me. So I had an issue with 58-yard plays in that final game that we had. Brett Maher of the Texans has a 58-yard field goal, and Randall Cobb has a 58-yard punt return. And that is our league leaders.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mike Wright. I think it's a good time, because we usually fit this in one way or another, to go over the games, because we're pretty much 3 games in.
Yeah.
With a couple of fourth games played. Let's go over the games that stand out week 1 through 4 for us. Pull those up.
Yeah, first game I'd like to shout out, it was a hard-fought victory, but I saw there was a Seahawks versus Falcons game. Two very, very good overall. Game ended up being 24 Seahawks, 21 Atlanta. So, Matt pulled that game out. Overall, very, very highly competitive. Nobody scored in the fourth quarter at all. Seahawks had 10 points in the third quarter to take the lead, but it was a lot of back and forth, overall between those two teams.
A lot of defense.
A whole lot of defense, especially considering these are two really good offensive teams as well. To only put up, 24 to 21. From a stat standpoint, just kind of throw some high-level stuff. Matt Ryan, 310 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Russell Wilson had 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So a lot of defense there. Chris Carson had a big game, 18 carries, 139 yards rushing. Kept a lot of drives alive for Matt. He ran the ball very, very well in the second half, and they helped him close out the victory. But a lot of defense overall, in that game. So great win for Matt early on in the season.
Julio Jones at 121 yards on 2 catches, so 2 big catches.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see.
Another
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia,
Washington.
Washington. I mean, that was a great game. Obviously, it was an introductory to one of our new owners. Going to get someone who's been pretty competitive, year in, year out in the NFC East. So congratulations to Akil, on a 27-25 victory. I talked to him a little bit before the game started. He said, he guaranteed victory, early on. He guaranteed having a lot of yards rushing early on. That he'll never lose to Haskins, I believe is what his quote was. That he'll never lose to Haskins.
Mm-hmm. Or I'm gonna drop 40 on your head for making me wait.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he did say.
He
was like, "Whoa!"
This is facts. But he had a good game. He did run the ball very effective. He picked up free agent LaShawn McCoy. He had 9 carries for 185 yards with LaShawn McCoy, which was very impressive.
Pretty good.
Then he had another 11 carries for 92 yards with Miles
Sanders.
Ran the ball like he said he wanted to run the ball. I mean, that's 300 yards plus rushing he had in the game. So great job. I know the formerly known as the Redskins, but the Washington football team, dealing with a lot of injuries. Early on in the season. Next man up though. I mean, it happens for a lot of us. But he did have 14 carries for 112 yards with Bryce Love. Receiving, he had 103 yards receiving off 5 catches with J.D. McKissick on his team. So it was like he was throwing the ball out to the backfield, to his running backs there, mixing things up. But definitely a good win for new owner over there in Philly.
I watched the game and I enjoyed it. I was really impressed with it was closer than I'm sure Aki One Life expected. His name is Nazir Lee. I know he wanted to really take it over because he was talking about going undefeated. And his first division opponent, he beat by 2 points. So I know it kind of was a wake-up call to him that this ain't as easy as he thought it was. But it was good to see a new owner come in and kind of understand how to play in the league, and it actually was good to see Zay kind of overcome those injuries, even though he didn't. He had 2 major injuries on his defensive line. He had Montez Sweat got injured, and Ioannidis got injured. I know those are big because his line with Ioannidis, Montez Sweat, and Chase Young, he was supposed to be in that backfield all day long defensively, but to be able to keep it that close was impressive. So can't wait till the next matchup.
For sure.
Any other ones stand out this week?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go through a lot of them in big detail, but just kind of highlight some of the scores. You have Baltimore Ravens over the Browns, 35-21.
Good game.
Very competitive game out there in the AFC North. Baltimore was up big. Dillard made a valid comeback, but not, too little, too late.
Right.
Overall, congratulations to the Buccaneers. They had a big victory over the Saints. Over in that division over there. But again, both teams fight very, very hard. Very, very good win. And I'll leave you to talk about a little bit, Trank. 28-19, 49ers over the Cardinals. Two really, really good owners, two really, really good teams. What happened in that game?
I had to get some revenge from him beating me when he was with the Broncos. So, went in there, did what we had to do. Garoppolo was pretty efficient. 9 for 14, 64%. 171, 1 touchdown. It wasn't crazy, but just efficient enough to win the game. Rushing, we did not go over 100 yards. We only had 88 yards rushing with Mostert on 16 carries, which is well below what we're used to having. And we gave up 103 yards to Kyler Murray. But, we controlled the game. We got Kyler Murray to turn the ball over, and we kind of settled down because we're still learning this game. So I expect the next game to work a little bit better with against this divisional opponent because we kind of limited his run game.
Always a good win. When you're trying to figure things out early in the season, trying to get a feel for what your opponent wants to do, but you come out on top. So it's not the normal 200 yards rushing, I'm sure you're accustomed to, but three good rushing touchdowns. So 20% of your carries are for touchdowns, so that's always a solid. I'm not sure if those runs he had were design runs or just coverage runs, but it's never great to give up 100 yards to your running the quarterback. But if that's all he's doing, you're in good shape. So
we were okay with him running with his quarterback versus his running back. That's how we looked at it.
Sounds good, man. So congratulations on a well-fought, hard-earned victory early in the season.
Appreciate that.
Moving on to week 2, a couple games that stands out. Very, very competitive game for the Browns and the Bengals. Browns over the Bengals, 24-21 in that game. A lot of back and forth. Dillard did a great job stopping the run in that game, but that was kind of a more so of a coming out party. I tried to put a little bit more trust into Burrow, developing him, so he kind of hit it out a little bit more than what he normally does, at least what my quarterbacks normally do. So I was very proud of that performance. He had 280 yards, passing, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, which is big anytime you're passing the ball.
75%.
Yeah, so I was very, happy with that. Forced over some turnovers, but at the end of the day, I had a chance to win, and I choked. There's not a lot you can do to say about it. I was on the goal line, had about 2 or 3 yards to go. He stopped me on first, second, I think third down. I got the 4th down. Probably some opportunity for better clock management for myself, but got the 4th down, and it was a gimme. Again, it's probably about a 20-yard field goal. He iced me, and I missed the field goal. I choked. By far. So it was definitely, like I said, it was a great, great matchup. It was fun to play. Hope for those who got a chance to watch it, they enjoyed watching it as well. But definitely good win for Dillard and the Cleveland Browns in that week. Some of the other games that stand out as far as some real close games, Tennessee Titans over the Jaguars, 34-31. So that was a nice close game in the AFC South. You had the NFC South, we had the Panthers 31, Buccaneers 28. Very close game there. Another shout out, to our new owner Akil. He said he'll put some points. He didn't get it done in week 1, but week 2 he put up 63 points on the Rams.
On the Rams.
So,
held him to 40 points, under 40 points.
Yeah. So that was interesting to kind of see. Wentz had 4 touchdowns passing. He had a bunch of yards rushing. He had 15 for 262 with Shady McCoy plus 5 touchdowns. Miles Sanders had another 10 carries with 118 yards. So he did a heck of a job running the ball during that game and putting up a whole lot of points. So, again, congratulations on that quick 2-0 start, as he started off FNG. Some of the other games of note, good win for the Vikings, 38 over the Colts, 38-31. Miami Dolphins, 28. Buffalo Bills, 21. Out there in the AFC East. Another close game, 24, 49ers, 19, Jets. Surprisingly close. Tell me about that game, Tranks.
He came out, the boxing match is probably the best way to describe it. He came out throwing haymakers. He was going for it, 2-point conversions. He was going for it on 4th down. He was playing wild and reckless. And we were a bit shocked and surprised initially. Settled down come second quarter and figured out what he was doing, offensively and defensively. And by the time 4th quarter came, kind of poured it on. That MetLife Stadium didn't slow us down. So we figured it out.
Awesome. Yeah, very, very big win. Like I say, he scored 17 points in the 4th quarter. So he had a chance he was up, a couple of big plays, was up big early, maintained that lead into the 4th quarter. And then, like you said, winning time came up and you made the plays you had to do. So congratulations, man. Good.
Can't be reckless. Got to settle down eventually. And I think he didn't turn that off. And I think that ended up costing him.
Gotcha. Another game of note, high-scoring game. We had the Saints 46, 40 Las Vegas Raiders 42. So a lot of big points put up on the board. There between those two teams, it was 28-21 in the 4th quarter. So both teams wanted it. They was airing it out pretty much the entire game. So kudos to those two teams for highly, highly competitive game.
Big win for the Saints in the South too. They needed that to keep pace with the Falcons. Because they'll run away with that division if they don't get together.
Every game counts, in this league.
Yeah.
I think what everybody noticed, there's a lot of really good owners in FNG. So don't let the record fool you, by any means. You got to bring it. So I think early on in the season, it's a period where we're all kind of finding our identity and figuring out how we want to play. Working through some of the changes of this year's game, but. These games now are just as important as they are at the end of the season. So,
especially the division ones.
Who are winning early while they're figuring it out. So let's go ahead and move on to week 3.
Okay.
Week 3, games of note. Just kind of going through this.
Bengals, Eagles.
Games, I know they played 75 times, but, congratulations, Mike. 16-12 over the Texans. You want to tell us about any one of those games?
Any one of those games? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the second one is the one that hurt me the most because there's a minute 16 left in the game, and I was up, I think, by 10 at that point. And we disconnected. We had a lot of issues throughout all those games. And Texans owners, Tim McRae, he is a really smart guy. And I played 5 different games when I played him. My offensive strategies were different for every one of those games because I had to come out and play different games because he knew what I was doing. And by the time I got to that 5th game, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. He didn't score any offensive touchdowns against me. His only touchdown was that 58-yard punt return that I don't know how he ran that up the sideline, but he did. But I mean, it was all 5 games were great, tough matches, and we just went back and forth at it.
Well, I'm happy, Mike. You recorded your game because I watched a couple of them, and I enjoyed every single snap. Even though the games they've reset, I sat there and watched because both you guys were making good plays versus each other. It seemed like a well played, well even match, and it was disappointing. There was a disconnection at the end. I'm happy you guys got it finished, and I'm kind of happy you won because you kind of had it won before. But you guys both played well, and I'm glad the Texans have stepped their game up too because last Madden they were kind of the doormat of their division, and seeing this gameplay makes me feel better about their potential games in the division and in the AFC because there's a lot of new competition in the AFC, so they're going to need to bring that type of gameplay all season long. So
there were 5 games played, and probably 5 mistakes made in those total of 5
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
Between both of us. It was, yeah.
Sean Watson played well.
Yeah, the stat line was ugly, but you would expect it if you're playing the same team 5 times, showing everybody your repertoire. You don't expect to see a lot in the 5th, 6th, 7th game. So, but definitely you pulled out a hard, tough fought win. So congratulations to you, during that week. Other games of note, very big win for the Falcons, 34 over the Bears.
Big win.
Big time win. So it'll be a game that I'm sure will come down. It'll definitely matter from a seeding standpoint. So I definitely foresee, both these teams being, in not necessarily in a wild card, but definitely in the playoff picture, overall.
Head to head, yeah.
Yeah, it'll come down, and we'll talk about this probably in later podcasts. But of course, there's new seeding in the NFL, with of course the translate over to FNG as far as playoff seeding. So we'll get more into that, I'm sure, later on into the FNG season, how that works out. But congratulations to the Falcons. Just from a stat line standpoint, yeah, they did their thing for sure early on. But Matt Ryan, 155 passer rating, very, very effective. Though he only had 1 touchdown, but he was an efficient 7 for 9. Not sure if he got injured or not. I didn't actually watch the whole game, but I see that his backup got some play as well. Tyree Jackson was 3 of 7 in that game. Young rookie overall, so that was big. Trubisky had a real solid game. Though he had 1 turnover, he did throw for 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 turnover. Both teams are effective running the ball. Tariq Cohen, 11 for 80, 7.3 average. Gurley, 11.55, 5.0 average. So, both teams ran the ball very effective, but obviously from start to finish, Falcons did their thing overall. So it really wasn't as close as the score looked. Looks like the Bears scored some late touchdowns at the end of the game, kind of bring it a little bit closer. But, overall, great victory for the Falcons.
That's probably why the quarterback got in there, because they were up, and they wanted to get their new quarterback some burn.
Gotcha. Yep, makes sense. Especially with Matt Ryan is not a young tenderoni, as they say. So it's probably a good
12
idea
years.
To start trying to develop, some of your backups overall in that space. Another big victory. Washington football team got back on the winning streak with a very, very nice win over the Cleveland Browns, 24-10. Kudos to them. Reality check of a bit, I'll say. The Bengals faced the Eagles. Eagles took their first defeat, 34-28, but that was a very, very competitive game throughout. Came down to the last couple of plays of the game.
Phillips, I watched this game.
Sir.
What do you think it is the best part of his game? That, at least, what did you go in looking to stop?
So I went in there looking to stop his running game for sure. He came off his first couple of weeks running the ball over everybody. I think, one game he had 500 yards rushing between his 2 running backs. The first game he still did very, very well. So I was concerned. I went into that game definitely concerned, trying to figure out what was he doing. But I was patient. I got a feel for what he wanted to do in the game. He had some big runs. He got off on me early. I don't want to give all his trade secrets, but just
I watched it because I play him this week, so I was scouting.
Yeah.
But
I wished I could have watched it. You need to record your videos.
I'm new to Twitch, so I'll figure it out. But I did air the game, so anybody that wanted to watch it live saw what went down. But yeah, I knew he wanted to run the ball, and I went into that game telling myself I was going to do everything I could to stop it, and I think I was pretty successful. He did get 106 yards total, but I did let him get loose with his guys, the entire game like he did the previous week. I think, though, what he did do successfully, because I was so committed to stopping his run, he was able to get a couple balls over the top of me, in the pass game. So, like I said, there's some adjustments I need to make as an owner as far as being more balanced in my defensive calls. But, overall, even though I gave up 28 points, I was really satisfied with the way I played defense, overall. With some boneheaded plays I did that gave up 2 or 3 of those touchdowns.
Yep.
But overall, I did what I wanted to do, on defense, and I was able to be consistent enough on offense to put up some points throughout the entire game. And again, it was another effective game for Burrow. He threw for 370 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception. I believe that interception was on the first play of the game. I got hit as I caught the ball. So
it looked like you had control of the game. It really did. I
Yeah.
was impressed and surprised at how you suppressed his run game. You didn't eliminate it completely, but you didn't let him do what he wanted to do with the guy he wanted to do it with. And like you said, your concentration was so much on the run that he got a one over the top with Goodwin. And it was just kind of a brain fart, I think. I think had you played a little cleaner on D, you wouldn't even have got it. He would have had to work down the field for it. So you played really good defensively.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, everyone. Just to let everybody know, Tiger's in. He's on mute, but he's in here with us.
Oh, what's going on, Mr. Tiger Roar?
What's going on, sir?
Week 3.
Gentlemen? I figured I would sit back and listen to the Billups show and find out everything I need to learn about his game. And how you guys doing?
Well, we're on week 3. So who did you play week 3?
I think I played the Niners.
Yeah, that wasn't too good of a game.
Well, since we got both owners going, why don't we go ahead and talk about the Niners Giants game?
Yeah, that's a simple game. I played about quarter and a half. Yeah, I played 4 quarters in this league.
I'm gonna tell you something. I was in this game, and the stats didn't show it, but I actually felt threatened in this game. But something happened. I think it was a Danny Dimes fumble. I don't know what it was, but you lost control. And once you lost control of that game, it seemed like the momentum just stayed with me. And it was like it didn't matter what I was doing.
I honestly felt I honestly didn't feel like I made the mistakes I normally made. I just feel like at one point it was 14-14. I don't remember. I think it was second quarter. Right. And there's been a pattern of fortune when it comes to players getting bookending halftime with points. And I've been really
touchdown before the half. Yep.
Both ends of getting the ball back in second half, touchdown, and before the half. And that is not a good way. It's not a winning formula. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't necessarily because of mistakes. It's just the person you in this situation played well before the half, and you got the ball back, and you played well. It was a long drive after the half. It wasn't like you got a quick score. And with not being able to get stops on you, that just if you think about it, you have to be up 14 points just to break even in that scenario, and that's not how it works. So I think that combined with the fumble early, like you mentioned, I think I had stopped you with the ball, the game tied, and I think I fumbled it back to you. Mm-hmm. And so then you bookended the halftime with points, and then it was just a chasing game after that. So like most good players, if you give them a lead, they're usually not going to give it up. You gotta keep some pressure on them. So.
Yeah, 3 turnovers coming directly from your quarterback isn't good. No, 4 turnovers.
Quarterback's not there yet. So,
well, Daniel Jones had 2 fumbles and 2 picks, and that's 28 points, potentially. That's definitely not going to help. But I'm telling you, when I was in the game, it felt like you were doing well. Then you had a fumble, I scored. Then I stopped you. Drove and scored before the half, and then it felt like right after the half, it was like you said, a methodical drive, and Garoppolo 68% passing, 301 yards, 5 touchdowns. I was having a good game. Most of it was able to run a little bit. Coleman even got a good run, so everything that I did worked. we're hopefully finding our stride, and hopefully we continue it and going into next week. But, anything else stands out this week, gentlemen? In games? Green Bay, New Orleans, 52-45. High-scoring game.
Yeah.
He had the Raiders and the Patriots game. That was 23-24.
That was definitely a competitive game. You want to talk about that a little bit?
That one came down to the wire. I missed a field goal. I believe it was in the first quarter. I was messing with the Twitch settings, trying to figure out if I was recording or not. And I guess when you go back and forth, there's a lag. And in doing so, I missed the kick with trying to time it.
Oh, wow.
And so then we went back and forth. I think I had the lead going into the fourth. And
Yeah.
then he had a play. I'm trying to figure out, I think it was Edelman. He was just going to Edelman pretty much that drive. And my cornerbacks, my rookies couldn't stay up with him or cover him, so to speak. And he got that last field goal and got me.
Yeah, you were up 21-23 in that one, and you kicked that field goal, ended up taking it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know from a record standpoint, I think you're 1-2, but I think your 2 losses are combined with like 4 points right now. So could very easily be undefeated, right now, Hosea. So
yeah, that week 1, I was trying to stay on the DL. Everybody kept noticing the 52 points I put up in week 1 against Carolina.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, he's not a pushover. I was like, yeah, okay.
Right.
When you get 2,500 yards, combined in one game, people tend to notice that. So
I was like, I'll start talking once I can pull off these consecutive wins. But each week has been close games. So
yeah, some good stuff, man. Good stuff for sure. But those were most of the games of note, through our first 3 weeks, man. So again, I know a lot of teams are filling each other out. A lot of teams probably not where they want to be at by the end of the season, but it'll be great to see how teams progress as we go through the next 3 or 4 weeks as we get closer to the middle of the season.
Update on the score right now. The Vikings, we have 3 games played this week. And the Vikings-Texans are currently playing right now. It's 24-14 Texans over the Vikings. So kind of like I was saying earlier, good to see Tim McRae, the Texans owner, playing well in the Steelers game. So I guess he's showing more of that because he's holding the Vikings to 14 points and dropped 24, and he's in the fourth. So it looks like they're going to pull that out. Yeah. I don't know why they're not broadcasting, but, you can only, ask people to broadcast.
Yeah, another public service announcement, man. Let's broadcast our games, man. They're fun to watch. It's fun to give content, during these shows as well. So I think that a lot of times we're asking for feedback from the guys that are on the show to talk about their games, but we would love to talk about your games as well. And we can do that a lot better if you're broadcasting your games week over week. So let's everybody just put a little bit more effort into it. I'll be one to admit, like, Twitch is new to me, so I'm still learning, but there's a lot of great owners on here that you can reach out to get help. So I plan on doing that myself, so that way my games are not only aired but also recorded as well.
And you never know, like Billups kind of said, sometimes we're at work and we see that, we'll go on break just to watch your game. You know what I mean? And we use it as content to talk about on this game because it's hard to get content on a game we haven't seen. There's only so much stats you can bring out of it. It's nothing like seeing having a guy wide open in end zone, not seeing him and then not throwing it, or just a fumble that turns into a fumble return for a touchdown or a pick six. These type of things you'll never really see with just the stats. So help us help the show.
Yeah. And I work from home, and almost every game that I see that pops up, I will turn it on to watch. I'll be working and have it on my laptop next to me. I know Tony watches everything that he can. So
as long as I'm not asleep.
I think I did that, Mike, with your game, the game you played against Chaz. I was working from home.
So you watched a horrible game.
Well, I just laughed because in the middle of the game I heard you took a call. I think you had a work call.
Yeah.
And
I worked almost the entire second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter.
And I was laughing because as you were talking about stuff, I was like, I know what he's talking about. But it was ironic that you were on the, taking a work call and trying to play the game. But I was working from home as well that day. So indeed, it is exciting, guys, to have you guys broadcast your games because football just started up, but we like watching games. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of been our thing to keep us sane the last year with football being out and
no baseball,
stuff, no sports. So it's been nice to watch some of you guys broadcast your games. I know Twitch is a little bit different, but definitely, like Bill said, reach out. If you need help setting it up, configuring it,
A lot of people do it.
It does take a little bit to do because you have to be online, and then the mobile app. So it's it's a couple things you got to do to get it going. But there's a lot of people that have it set up, so don't hesitate to reach out.
And they're always willing to help.
This is a good time of the year. This is like the Christmas season for men who like sports, man. Like no other time during the year where you get NBA playoffs going on. You got football starting. You got hockey. Playoffs and finals just ended. Baseball is going into playoff mode. FNG is getting kicked off again. So you pretty much see a little bit of everything right now. And we would like that. We would just really love to continue to enjoy, the FNG podcast, the FNG broadcasts that are being done, each day. So I know guys are playing morning, noon, and night, but air those games. Whether we're watching them live or whether you're watching a recording, it's definitely fun to watch.
We'll watch the recordings too. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Way to call that out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I watched the Cowboys Seahawks game, another close one. I watched that on recording.
Oh, the last 2 minutes and 6 seconds of that game was amazing.
Yeah, that Dallas game.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that too. I was like, wow, he's gonna kill Zeke. He kept running because he always complains he gets injured. I was like, man, it's gonna happen.
He's running them into the hole.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Cowboys owner Thomas Lanning, want to kind of go prayers out to everyone in California that's having to deal with those wildfires. I think he is potentially being evacuated again. We haven't got confirmation that's actually happening, but this is obviously not real life. This is just video games, and sometimes real life gets in the way. And he communicated that to us, and we want to kind of shout him out here that we're thinking about you and praying for you, Thomas.
Most definitely, and also kudos to Thomas and his family. I think that though they were going through those trials like everyone else in that community, I think he was also lending his services as well to those that need, during those times. So
yes, he was.
Yes, he is.
Focusing on just himself and his family. As somebody who was really going out above and beyond, trying to make sure, friends, family, community, was safe as well. Had hot meals, had a place to stay, and things of that nature. So
he was putting people up who were evacuated. That's really big.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
big ups, Zach, man. Big ups.
All right. Well, moving on in the show, we're going to move on to FNG news and I guess changes. And I guess we should start with the newest news, the two owners that we just recently received. I guess we'll do it in the order that we received them. The first one is the big bad boogeyman, Chaz Sellers, Champions champion, is back. He's back as the Broncos, and he's already tearing stuff up. He's 3-0 with the Broncos, going to challenge the reigning FNG champion in the AFC West. And it looks like his team is coming along. He's getting his trades the way he wants them, getting his teams pickups and stuff, and looking scary already. Hasn't been challenged yet, though, that I know of, but because I haven't watched any. Oh, I watched one game. The one game I watched
his first game,
the Bucs.
First game was surprisingly close. Him and the Titans down to a one-score game, and I think he scored late in the game to take the lead. But but
it was a pick six. I heard.
Filling out process, I think, and I think that was a game that he probably realized he needed a few more pieces, and then he made the right negotiations, and owners that was able to get some trades off. So kudos to you in that space, but
got that piece and got a bunch of picks with that piece, right?
But not being petty at all, but but yeah. So, but
and
yeah,
then we have the next owner.
A team of reckon with for sure out there in the AFC. Oh, not only the AFC, but MLB as a whole.
Yeah, he'll make his mark, and they'll understand why he keeps getting mentioned like Mr. Candyman. You don't say his name unless you want him to pop up. But the next guy we want to bring in is I wish he was on the show, but Najir Lee. I think it's Aki One Life, his Xbox name. Amazingly, he searched us up on Madden, searching for leagues in Madden, and he just sent me an invite as a, hey, can I join the league? Brought him in, kind of interviewed him. There was a couple guys in the party with me. I think it was Bullock, Tiger, and I think one other guy, and kind of asking him, how his Madden game and stuff was, and he ended up letting us know he was part of he was a commissioner himself. He kind of realized how tough it was running a league, and he's come in here and acclimated himself to the league, and looks like he's going to be a really good owner. I play him this week. Hopefully, I give him one more loss like the Bengals did. But I really like his game. His first game, I think he played Dill, an exhibition. I like what he does with his game, and he has a lot of positive energy, which is always good. So we look forward to seeing what the Eagles are going to do this year. Unfortunately, we had to replace an older owner, and that was a situation that, unfortunately, I won't belabor the point. It was a lack of communication that kind of put us in that position, because I don't ever like to have to do that. But, sometimes when you got people who are not following the rules or not scheduling games and not communicating to us why you're not scheduling games, you got a guy that's fighting wildfires and still able to play his games and submit trades and vote on trades. You can at least, if you're out there, say, hey, look, I can't play games right now because of A, B, C, or D. Then, we can put you on standby and but we need communication. It's that simple. So we're upgrading, and again, I believe if we have another opening, we might be able to reconsider maybe one or two of those other guys coming back. But right now, we need people who are engaged, and that's what we see from both guys. They're engaged.
And just so you positive. Know, someone hit me up about another person being put on the wait list. They're interested in getting in. So
there we go. Yeah, getting their wait list started, and that's important too, because just like the real NFL, there's only 32 positions. Once those positions are filled, you kind of realize, hey, if I act up, somebody else will be right in here. Sometimes it takes that. So,
one more to note. One thing to note was communication. Again, a lot of owners there's a lot of dialogue back and forth. Hey, when do you want to play? Hey, when do you want to play? When are you available? The most efficient format that I found, and everybody can speak to this, is really just post what's your own availability. So if I'm playing Tranks, this week, instead of me just saying, hey Tranks, when do you want to play, or waiting for him to come back, I can literally just post, hey Tranks, I can play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday from this time to that time. That way, when Tranks replies, he can try to find a time during that window, and then now we're booked. Versus a lot of times what I see in our league is, hey, when do you want to play? You want to play right now? And then 3 hours later, somebody replies back saying, no, I can't play right now. I play now. And we're doing that back and forth for 2 or 3 days,
time.
The day of the event, and we still haven't scheduled anything. So just post your times. Hey, I can play from 2 to 4 this day, and then 7 to 9 that day, or if I'm free all day, say I'm free, But that dialogue helps a lot, and it closes the gap to make sure we get something scheduled timely. So, if you can't play till Saturday and today's Tuesday, that's okay. Like, there's times that may happen. But if you communicate that early, we all know what's going on. We're not sending out communication saying, hey, what's going on? We got 5 games left. There's no communication. Who's what? It just gets real messy. So everyone's adult. Everyone's busy. We know it. We got labs outside of FNG, but at the end of the day, we're just asking for basically 2 hours, a week from you, to get your games in.
That's it.
Most of the games take about 51 minutes. So if you can play 2 hours a week, you can communicate your games. That's what we're looking for in this league. So help us all be great.
And ready up after your games. Up after your game.
So if you want to ready
especially when you're a commissioner,
great secret on how you can ready up automatically. I respect anyone who doesn't want to do it at all for whatever your reason is, but definitely ready up after you play your game. But if you actually go to your league settings, you can set it up for automatically readying up. That way you don't have to be concerned at all. So I know sometimes guys joke and they're just like, hey, commissioner, just go ahead and advance the league. But these guys are busy too. They got labs too. So why wait for them to do that extra step? Why put it on them when we can just ready up ourselves in a week's advance automatically? So
and here's specifically how you do it. Here's specifically how you do it. You go to league settings, go to user team help. The last entry on there is league advancement. Just put it to auto. At that point, after you might, for some reason, it might not work this week, but ready up after your game. And then next week when you advance, if that thing's set to auto and then you back out, it should save. And after you play your game, it'll automatically ready you up. You still can do trades. You can still do everything you can do with it, with this thing not clicked to manual. But because if I'm not home and Hosseyan's in the hospital or something, because he works in the hospital and he isn't getting signal, if everyone plays a game and there's one or two people without readying up, you're going to have to wait. And it's nothing for us to click a button on there, but we don't know. You're going to have to wait versus the whole league just advancing on its own. And then you can set your games up and we can, keep the league moving.
And the game's so buggy that the Madden app doesn't work. So
sometimes, yeah, you're right about that.
I'm scared to even advance it through that and do, pull a Tranks and advance.
No, we're not doing that. No, not the ass Vance.
So
we don't need anyone else getting that nickname other than me.
So you guys will definitely wait if you guys don't ready up.
I didn't want to bring it up, but most definitely, like I said, not that it would happen more than once or twice or three times, but you definitely don't want it. We want to avoid those type of errors. And again, if we're all readying up, timely. Again, out of respect, like I said, we there's a lot of things that are done behind the scenes to try to make this league competitive and fun, and make sure we're all having a good time. And any additional steps like that you guys can help take away from, whether it's those who are on the trade committee by putting up all your information out there, they don't have to do so much research. Whether it's making sure you're following guidelines with position changes, so I'm not going through or the commissioner's going through having to dissect everything. And then when it comes to just playing your games, getting them scheduled efficiently and then readying up is just an extra step that we don't have to take out of our day to do, which again just helps the league be more efficient. So, it's all of our leagues. So, and I think that our commissioners have said that many, many times. That's one of the things I love about this league, and I think that when guys want to step up, it's great to help the league be better. But it's our league, so in essence, it's 32 owners. We all have a voice. Let's just do our part to help us stay great.
Thinking of something that it's our league, not just my league. It's our league. Mm-hmm. We voted a new rule change in, and it's about position changes. And quiet as it's kept, it's already posted on the webpage, and it should be in the Constitution. If it's not, it should be soon.
It will be soon. Yes.
And the position change is essentially any position that you can switch to in the depth chart is an automatic position change. The only exception to that is if the person is an X factor, has X factor ability or superstar ability. Those people cannot change. And the third addendum to that is once a guy switches, they have to stay at that position for a season. And early on in the season, because we had a glitch with the first franchise that we made, we had to redo the franchise. And, before we actually posted the actual rule change, there were people making changes. And, if you don't know or haven't posted the rule up, I didn't think it was early enough for us to start penalizing people for a rule that's new. So we were kind of trying to work with the owners to try and get the league kind of where it should be and get it, off to a good start. And I thought I had us all set. And then we kind of had another guy go in and switch superstar guy again. So we kind of got to really get hammered down. If a guy, at the very minimum, you got to know this. If a guy has an X factor or superstar ability, you cannot switch his position, even if it's from left tackle to right tackle, free safety to strong safety, left guard, right guard, whatever. If he has a superstar X factor ability, you can't change anything other than maybe his gloves or his helmet or that type of stuff. But as far as his position, it cannot change. You can substitute him anywhere you want. You can substitute him, but do not change his position, because there's an exploit that we're trying to avoid where when people change positions, it changes the X factor ability and potentially the superstar abilities for people to just keep switching and then getting the X factor superstar ability. So we don't want that to happen. That's why we kind of put that in there. I think that's about as clear as I can make it. Any questions, obviously, you can post them either in the chat now or in the position change, because I know that's a lot.
One other thing to note in that space we're referring to true positions. So, slot receiver is not a position.
Correct.
Substitution linebacker is not a position.
Kick returner is not a position.
Kick returner, not position. Third down back. So it's true positions that we're referring to. So just because somebody, you can put them in a sub package at linebacker, you can't, doesn't mean you can move a safety to a regular middle linebacker outside linebacker position. So if anyone has any questions in that realm, please see myself or the commissioners, Hosian or Tranks as well in regards to that.
An exception position should be in the post too, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if anything, just ask before you do it. I mean, like I said, there's no harm to asking a question. So, reach out to us via messenger, post it on our page, on a Facebook page. So that way, when we answer you, it'll be an answer for the next person may have the same question, down the line.
Too scared to ask. That happens a lot.
So, we try to put rules and things in place and try to make them as black and white as possible. We try to make sure we follow up in these kind of forums on podcasts and go over them. But I'm sure there's times that people still, for whatever reason, whether it's due to our explanation or whether it's due to their, just maybe didn't understand it. There's times that there's still gaps there. So if we need us to do anything to help close that gap, just ask, and we got you.
Or if you find a gap, Cole has been very good. He's a relatively new owner. Last Madden was his first Madden, but he's already endearing himself with me because hey, I think this might be an exploit if someone does this or the other. And I'm like, you're right. We need to change. We need to address that. We need to change that. I mean, This is your, like Billup said, this is your league. You need people. A lot of people who've been here for a while understand how good it is. And when people new come in, they say, wow, this league is run really well. Well, it's an amalgam of everyone's input. Everyone's, put a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears in it. That's why it's run so good. It ain't just what I'm doing. It ain't just what Hosian's doing. It's not just what Dill's doing, what Billups is doing, what Mike's doing, what Tiger's doing. Everybody's putting something into this league, and that's why it's so good, because everybody has a buy-in. So if you see an exploit or if you see something's wrong, report it. You're not telling, say, hey, I want this to be fair for everybody. And that's what we try to do. We try to keep it fair and balanced. Speaking of fair and balanced, the transition, another non sequitur there. Mike, the guy down there with the Steelers stuff on, thought it would be a good idea for us to kind of go over or talk about trades because, there was no preseason in real NFL, and we skipped the preseason in FNG, which we try not to do. We at least try to do 24-hour advances with injuries off, but we didn't even do that. We wanted to get the season started as fast as possible. But I think it would be a good idea since we have at least 3 people who are on the trade committee to kind of go over what's needed for a trade, what makes it easiest for a trade to go through, what are you looking for, what are the things that as people who are trying to trade miss, why are trades denied, that type of thing. So maybe Hosian, Mike, you could speak to that, one of you guys.
Absolutely. So first thing, I've always joked around with everybody and said, hey, if the trade's denied, it's my fault. That's really to take the heat off of everybody in the trade committee. We don't need people going and just yelling at the trade committee because the trades didn't get approved. So come yell at me. So I think I actually voted for yours, but I did vote for it. But anyway, so what we're looking for when you're posting a trade is we definitely want to know who the player is. We want to know their overalls, whether they're star, superstar, X factor, salary, cap hit for the trade, how much time is left on their contracts. It's a lot of information, but that helps us make smart decisions without having to spend 20 minutes looking over every trade through Madden. This season, even to me, it seems like we're denying a lot more trades than normal. Maybe we're looking at them with a little bit more critical eye. Who knows?
It feels that way to me too, Mike. Just want to make sure I add that to the...
I really do feel we are. But what we're doing is we're looking at them, and I can only speak, to my way of thinking. Is I want it to be, a 60-40 trade, because you're never going to get a perfectly even fair trade. I want it to be in that 60-40 range. So that's close enough for a fair trade for me. Um, you know, um, I've seen, a lot of questions asked, hey, why was my trade denied? So for the most part, we don't discuss the reasons we make our decision on the trade committee. People say approve or deny 95% of the time. I think, truthfully, in all of the years we've been doing this, we've only had a real discussion where it came out, okay, I need to know why everybody voted the way they did twice.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. That's probably accurate.
And I think really the only time we have discussions is when we're trying to sway the other members of the trade committee to go our way. So truthfully, why a trade is denied, nobody really knows. We all have our own reasons for approving and denying, and we don't generally discuss them.
Yeah, and I
I
think a
will
lot
say
of it too
this.
has to
Go
do with
ahead. Go ahead.
I think a lot of it has to do too this year with we just had a lot. We're moving so fast and trying to go through these trades with the position changes and just making sure that the players being traded, the draft picks, a lot of it, we try to factor that in when draft picks are put out, the player, the overalls, the speed, just kind of making sure that the guys are making the right trades. I know a lot of you guys are like, well, we've been in the league long enough, we don't, our captain's list, and we make the right decisions. We've been in the league long enough, so you guys should, at least factor that in, and we do for the most part. We know that a lot of you guys are in the league, and you guys run your teams and manage them properly. But again, like Mike said, a lot of decisions we make, we don't really discuss. We're not in depth as to why we denied or approved, unless it's something where it's like he said, the two instances where it's like, why wasn't it approved? But for the most part, when you guys ask why it wasn't really done, a lot of it is because of the info that Mike mentioned isn't provided. So we can't really make a good decision based on, the info. Like I'm just trading this guy for a draft pick, or I'm just trading this guy for this guy. A lot of times if you're not both agreeing on the fact that you guys are making the trade, because it's part of the trade proposal, you both need to agree on it. You both have to have your captain's list. And then of course, cap and all that other stuff we like to get, because we've had instances in trades where people have committed to trades, and when they go to, put it through, they can't because they have cap issues. So those are things that we factor in as well. So, just, I think I make in the post all the time. When I make the post, I kind of point out what you guys need to have. So just make sure you're doing that, posting what you need, providing the info that we like to look at. A lot of times, these trades, for the most part, most of the trades get approved. Some of them get denied. I think more so this year, they've been denied, but it is what it is. So, but.
Well, I'll tell you, coming from somebody who doesn't vote on a lot of them, I'm the tiebreaker, bro. Just to educate everyone that's out there, there are 4 guys that are on the committee: Thomas, Bullock, Hossein, and Mike. So you got 2 of the guys that are actually on it, and I'm the tiebreaker vote. So if it's 2 one way and 2 the other way, then I'll have to review it. And a lot of times, there's only so much time we can invest on this, right? So if you put all the information up there that we need, all I got to do is go on my phone. I could be shopping, I could be in the meeting, I could be anywhere, and just looking at the trade. A telltale sign of a trade trying to skirt under the door, or just a guy that's not really committed to the trade. They're trying to get some action, or it's for lack of a better term, predatory trade, where one side is getting the better of the other because they're either inexperienced and or they're not too familiar with the cap and or that type of thing. when you have a guy who doesn't do the things, they're almost getting their hand held through the trade. All right, go ahead, say you can trade. All right, now go post this. And if we have to tell you what to do too much on the trade, I can almost guarantee you it's not going to go through. You kind of got to know why you want to do the trade. If you're a newer owner, it's going to be harder for you to trade than if you're a vet. And if Hosseyan's trading with Matt, there's a very good chance that trade is going to go through. These guys have been here for 8+ seasons, and they've managed their team. They haven't been in a position where they've had a bunch of guys just drop off the free agency, versus if it's Cole and Najee, the Eagles owner. They're brand new. We're gonna look for anything to be wrong with the trade like that. Now, obviously, there are different grades to that, but the easier you make it on the trade committee with the information that you put out there, the easier it is for them to come back with a vote. There have been some delays because, like I told you, one of them is Thomas, and he hasn't been able to. He's been focused on real life versus that. So I'm right now stepping in as far as voting for him till he gets that squared away. But I try to get the votes in as much as possible. But there's only so much time I'm actually going to invest in looking for that because there's other stuff I want to do other than I actually got to play my game, prepare for my games. And, I am the 49ers owner and the commissioner. And that level of insulation is just to kind of protect them because I don't want to waste. These are 4 people who are volunteering to do a job. I don't want to waste their time with a trade. He doesn't have the draft pick he says he's trading, or the guy's not even in the position that he wants to trade, or they list the wrong guy. You'd be surprised a lot of stuff that people do when they're setting up a trade. It's harder than it looks. So do what you can do to make the trade more yes than no. And when I'm giving you an excuse, which should be rare, because I don't want to shape a trade for you. You got to do the trade. If I'm telling you what to do for the trade, I might as well tell everybody, here's what the trade is going to be. But if I give you a piece of advice, it's probably the one thing that's keeping you from getting the trade over. You're not always going to get an answer. But just give us what's listed. And that'll make it easier versus hearing a lot of no's. If you're a vet, don't expect the newer owner's trade to go through. If it does, great. If it doesn't, be prepared to reevaluate, renegotiate. And, a lot of people are pretty good with that. Like Matt, early on when he was doing his trade, he was getting lots of no's. All he did was he re-upped, made it better one way, made it better the other way. And now it's to the point where a lot of his trades go through. He's in my division. I don't want him to get anything. He's got some of the craziest trades to go through, but it's like he never lets it phase him. That's one thing that I like about him. Another guy that likes to do a lot of trades, or at least I expect to, is Chaz. It's another guy who's always a mover and shaker. But there's some people, at least it seems like to me, they don't even got cap space and they're trying to do trades. And they haven't even re-signed anybody. So you got one side of the trade looking, oh, well, I know you why you want to get rid of the trade, but the guys receiving it ain't going to be able to re-sign him. We're kind of protecting the team. That's the only reason why. And once you've shown you're going to be able to be here, we're going to have to look at it less hard. I guess it's probably the best way. I think that's probably the most info I can give. And if I'm missing anything, can't help it. But we don't want to deny the trades if we don't have to. I think that's it, though.
You got anything, Phillips? Because I know you kicking that mic.
Yeah, so I just wanted to be devil's advocate, and I don't need a response because I want to spend a lot of time over some time right now. But what I feel personally, and again, we voted on this and it's gone in the other direction, so it doesn't like that's what the league want. But as an owner, I want to be allowed to own my team, and I think that's part of managing, your roster. So I definitely agree with, as we get, new owners and people who don't know how to manage salary caps and have a lot of questions, we've got to be careful in those spaces. But, we're not preventing someone from making boneheaded decisions in the draft or boneheaded decisions in free agency. You know, I see a lot of guys who, you know, pick up and pay $300 million for a quarterback, you know, in free agency, and then they draft a quarterback with the first pick. You know, like that's like who would do that? You know, and they may not be quarterback, maybe another position. You know, they pay a lot of money for a running back, and then they draft a running back or whatever. So, you know, we're not doing anything in that space to prevent those type of bad management from happening. So why are we getting as many no's, you know, when it comes to, you know, trades? I think there's good trades and there's bad trades. And a lot of times when you're trading for picks or you're trading for people, you know, depending on the owner, you know, one may work better for the next, you know. There's a guy on Hostion's team that's, you know, the shitting wide receiver. I forgot the kid's name, probably like a 55. Is it Gabe or who's the guy? Fast guy you got receiver, Hostion.
Oh, Rico
Gabbard or something. You know, guys, like realistically, he's you know, I don't even know if he's on a real roster, but he's like one of the fastest guys in the league. So one owner may be willing to give a second round pick, you know, for him. Now, you know, Hostion may value that guy, you know, and not want to give him up. Or he may say, yeah, I'll take a second round or first round guy for a guy that's overall 57 ranking. And you look at it from a trade standpoint, you're like, oh, you're getting too much for that, you know, or vice versa. Some of the trades that go through in real NFL, they never would get approved in FNG, you know, whether it's, you know, again, Hostion losing Cooper or losing Max, like those type of trades wouldn't go through. But a lot of times you want to get some value for somebody you may lose. So if I'm losing a guy to free agency, I don't plan on re-signing him. If I can get a draft pick out of that, that's a win to me. Versus just I'm not going to be able to win a bidding war, you know, for him. And we lose some of that opportunity, you know, to own our team and manage our rosters and work the years that are left in FNG for that game to our benefit sometimes. And that's just what I see outside looking in. As you guys know, I've had many trades denied. I don't have any inside information. I don't, you know, my connection to the league doesn't get anything approved. So I have the same questions.
You mean you're not my favorite player? You're not my favorite owner? You don't get everything because I like you the best?
No, it sounded good in theory, but then I get rejected just as much with position changes and trades as everybody else do. So, but that's fair. That's fine. But those are the things that like I want to truly have the owner experience and managing my roster. And if I out negotiate somebody, then I just out negotiate somebody. There's a lot of owners in the NFL that are out negotiating a lot of people, you know. So that's just my 2 cents about it. Again, I don't necessarily need chatter behind it, but I hope we get to a point where we can trust all 32 owners and their commitment. And I'm sure that's been a wish for many, many years before now. But you know, let us be good, great, and shitty, for lack of a better phrase. You know, on our own. That's it for me.
Well, my I don't want to call it a rebuttal, but I've had this conversation recently with the trade committee. I don't want to call it for shits and giggles, but I've actually said, hey guys, if we have a person with veteran status, right? You mean you only got to put in one captain. Why don't we just let all trades go through for a veteran, or just make it harder for someone to be a veteran, right? That was my suggestion. And then I was reminded by the people that were on the trade committee, who will go unnamed, but have seen this happen, that all it takes is one bad trade to go through, and it divides the league in ways only people who have seen it understand. And the only reason why I know is because it happened to me. It was because there was a time when, before there was a trade committee, where I was kind of one improving and denying the trades. And this is before
Craig, or
no.
This is when he did it all by himself.
There's a guy. His name is Storm Williams. It was a defensive tackle. I'll never forget it. The guy was a stud. He was Warren Sapp and Reggie White all in one guy. And I negotiated the trade. Everyone was kind of wishy-washy on how they wanted trades, and say, hey, we should just be kind of willy-nilly with the trades. And I said, you know what? If that's what we want to do, and you know me, I don't just make a quick change. You know, I kind of say, if this is what we're going to do, Starting next season is what we'll do. And the next season, the first trade I did, I was winning then. So, you know how it is when you're winning. Nobody wants you to continue to win. And my team was really good. The first trade I did was within the rules. I traded for the guy, Storm Williams, and the entire league said, how did this trade go through? I was like, well, according to the rules, here's what you... And when I say the league was split, it was split where people were like, there's no way this guy can have this guy on his team. It's like me picking up Khalil Mack now or something with the team that I have. That's what it's... The way they were talking about it, that's the way it did. And literally, based on the rules, I had to defend my own team. And, obviously I had a conflict of interest. But after that, right, I said, well, obviously I can't be the only one doing the trades. And there has to be the more people that are able to volunteer to do it, the better. And that's kind of how we got the trade committee. And it people were more sad. When I say people, a majority of the owners in the league, because obviously there are always going to be people who don't like it and people that do like it, but a majority of the people in the league or the owners in the league preferred this over no rules, where it was just like, hey, Wild Wild West, we can get a trade through. Because what you said is ideal, because it's more like real life, in my personal opinion. If you get the trade through and the guy's dumb enough to do the trade, bam. But what happens is you get guys like the person that just left the Eagles, or the guy that just left the Falcons, the people who don't tend to their teams, they end up on the other team, create super teams, and then you got people who just disconnect from the league because their teams are already going to win the whole thing. I don't want to be in it. And you end up having more computer games. It makes the league, the participation in the league, less. At least historically, that's what it's been. And I've seen different iterations of that. And right now, the iteration that we have is optimal. And I'm only telling you that from a historical perspective. It's optimal because you have people who are engaged the entire season because they actually have a chance. You have less people who are disengaged. If there were more super teams based on this type of thing, because some people are just smarter when it comes to negotiating, or they're good with the words and other people aren't, you will be surprised some of the stuff that's going to get through. And ultimately, you're going to be wishing it wasn't like that. We're going to end up back where we are. So I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Everybody in this thing's grown men, and we're all owners. We should be able to make our own mistakes. But I've seen it go from where it was the Wild Wild West, we could do what you want to do, and the owners didn't like it, especially the guys that are still here now. They were there. They can tell you, the owners, there was almost a complete divorce where half the league was going to go one way or the other.
Yeah, it got so bad that people were like, we should just start over and do a franchise draft. Just do a draft. Just start over and do a draft, and everybody could do their own, pick who they want and set up the teams they want. That's how bad it got.
Yeah. And you learn. That's how we got the league so good. We learn from the mistakes, even though it wasn't I don't believe it was a mistake, but it was like you kind of said when we were chatting before, it's an experience people got to experience before they realize, oh shit, this sucks. You think it's great, but it's not as great until when you're living it. So, that's just a historical perspective on that.
Oh yeah, that's facts. I think that's a good reason why I understand the limit of 2 trades per typical season. But I see those same things happen, like say even within the draft, free agency, overall people growing teams. Because you look at it and you'll see, okay, year one I got. And this is a tidbit for everybody. So a lot of owners got young players on their teams. You got a bunch of young guys on their second or third contract. That's what your team is built of. And then you do very well. Then you get to free agency. You're like, man, I got $71 million in cap space. So I'm about to go ahead and just
don't do a damn thing with it.
Right? Yeah. And then you realize in year 2, you got to re-sign all these guys that are on rookie contracts, and now you done gave away all your money. You done gave away $200 million guaranteed and bonuses, and you don't have as much leverage to cut guys to be able to create room for you. So now you end up losing, studs. We see X factor young players available in free agency all the time, and it's just the name of the game. But again, that's part of managing your team and being an owner, and those are the shortcomings you have. And again, we don't have any parameters in managing that. And there's, like I said, the Eagles was a great example, who had a bunch of stud players who they couldn't re-sign anybody. That wasn't because of trades. That was mismanagement, of the roster. And you see that as well with a number of other teams. And you see moves people make, even when they say, I got, $6 million here, I got $20 million there. You're like, man, I do research myself when I'm in the season, and I'm like, man, there's no way they're going to be able to sign these players. And I know that before anything ever happens.
There are hawks out there waiting,
Yeah. So
waiting for you to spend that money.
I enjoy when I look at, the transaction. I see you sign somebody for 7 years for $300 million. Like, congratulations, he's filling your cap this year. But I know next year, this next guy's not going to fit, or you're going to end up cutting him because of his bad contract, and you're going to have debt. So, I mean, again, there's good owners.
For days.
Yeah, he's giving you guys a strategy, fellas, because he does that. He knows what team are going to be dropping what players come next
not
season.
Just him. Not just. I'm telling you right now. I've spoken to multiple owners. We're like, I can't wait because I'm seeing right now the cap goes up by this much because all these players are getting raises. And these 5 guys, they don't have the cap to sign. They're losing 3 of them.
Yeah.
It's just simple math, but these same people aren't doing math. So if they're not doing math on just guys that they show you the salaries, they show you, if they're not doing math on that, imagine what the trades are doing. Yeah. Taking cap hits, not having the cap to re-sign the guys that you got to re-sign. So not only are they getting guys, they're cutting their nose despite their face just to getting the transaction log saying I did the trade. And I'm telling you, it's ultimately, if all you're doing is screwing up draft picks and your free agent pickups in the offseason, it's less of a destructive thing than with the trades, because you kind of are limited. They don't allow you to spend money you don't have. You know what I mean? You can't even franchise tag somebody if you don't have it. And when you're re-signing people, they show you what you're like. Most people, here's a piece of advice for everybody listening. If you want to know what your cap is going to be next season, go to re-sign somebody. That's your fucking cap right there. It tells you what your cap is next season. So there should be no surprise. But most people don't know that. These are the type of things that, these same people are making these mistakes. And again, not to belabor the point, the trade committee is here to insulate the team from its owner sometimes. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that's the animal we have. The Falcons are playing somebody. I don't know who they play this week, but they just started their game.
We'll get their Billups eventually. You're right. We'll get to the point where we'll have guys, in the league to where captain's list won't matter. A lot of stuff that we request won't be an issue because we've, a lot of you guys have been around long enough to where that doesn't even matter. And these trades, these blockbuster trades, as we call them, will probably get approved because of the longevity of the owners and the fact that they've been committed to the league and have shown that they can manage the roster without having something blow up in their face later on. And then we deal with the repercussions of, well, now he left the team, the new person coming on board has to figure out this mess. They're going to have to drop players no matter what. And they're, key players. And so then they're struggling, to even play and keep up with other teams who have managed their teams well. So, and like you said, it's the good, the bad, and yes, we'll deal with it. But I think at some point we'll get there. We just got a lot of stuff that we gotta, we'll get there eventually. Like Trank said, it's just we've seen, the opposite. It's kind of like we go full circle with a lot of these things that people, all these discussions always come up, and it's a big debate over. We've been full circle with a lot of it. So believe us when we say it's in the best interest of the league. And I know it's frustrating when you're, putting the time in the, propose trades, discuss trades, and then agree upon something, and then to turn around and have it denied. I know it's frustrating. But
never makes me happy. I get them denied too sometimes.
But believe me, we'll get there at some point, and we feel where you're coming from, because we got half the league, or a third of the league, where they they're on the same boat as you are. They're veterans. They know what they're doing. They're looking through rosters, making the efforts to do what's best for them to win and be efficient in the game. Then you got others that, they just jump on, play, do whatever, and yeah, I'll make that trade, and then don't realize the next season what they put themselves in and whatnot. So, but yeah, we'll definitely
get there.
Yeah.
Well,
we're not singling you out, man. We're not.
Well, I look at it this way. I don't even think it's specifically him. I think he's asking a question that probably someone else feels
Absolutely
and can't really communicate
Absolutely.
it as well as he's communicating, or just thinks these bastards don't even like my team. That goddamn 49er fan, because I'm the Cardinals, he don't like me, or Mike, because I'm the Browns, he doesn't like me, or you know what I mean, or Raider, because I'm the Chargers, he don't like me. Trust me, man. We got so much going on. We really want to say just yes, and then when we see something, we're just like, we can't let this shit through. You know what I mean? There's been literally been trades where, and it's rare, but it's literally been trades where I'll put the trade in and be like, this is the most effed up trade I've ever seen.
And it's not been a lot of them, but yeah, there have been some where it's like,
I mean,
how did they even propose this?
and then at least had the things to trade them. So and then there's some trades when I put it through, I'm just like, God damn, I did not know that guy was available. You know what I mean? I'm mad. I'm salty. This
I know.
I didn't know it to be. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. But we're getting there because we already made progress with the position changes. You know what I mean? Yes. I've always felt I manage from a macro versus a micro perspective, so the less I have to put hands on and the more the league can run on its own, it's better. And I believe we're heading in that direction based on looking at the advances. I believe the league is maturing. So we got to keep our recruiting up the way we've been, because we've been getting good owners in. So hopefully we can keep that up.
Yeah, but I think as EA progresses too, as they allow the commissioners to do a little bit more, to prevent, like you're saying, the draft, the picks, the signings, these bidding, if we could have a little bit more, access to that, to prevent like the Colts when they made that big signing of that quarterback, then left the league, and then the new owner comes on board and is like,
I can't run this
looked
league.
over us, I don't understand. And then they had the pick, and then they got those kind of wonky things that, hopefully once we have a little bit more control and we could prevent some of that, it'll definitely, a lot of these other things will benefit from it, especially trades. I think it'll be a point where, you could put a trade in and it's probably 90% of the time is going to get approved without even the committee having to look at too much at it. So,
Well, I heard November we're supposed to be getting more commission powers. Keep fingers crossed for that. Reverse transaction, I heard, was supposed to be one of them. But anyway, so hopefully we can wrap this up a bit. We're going to move to the next topic. FNG top 10. We kind of discussed this. That's what took us so long, Hosian, to join. We kind of got the FNG top 10 squared away. But you're not unmuted, Billups, if you were trying to unmute. You want to help us run that one down?
Yes, sir. Happy to. So go ahead and start from the top and work our way down to the bottom. So the top four of the FNG top 10 list are, pretty much the same guys that dominated throughout Madden 20. So as we transition, none of these guys have lost, still holding down. These are pretty much our elite contenders. So we have year in and year out. So number one spot, hopefully no surprise to anybody, but the formerly San Diego, but now LA Superchargers are the number one spot. Back-to-back champ, 3 of the last 5-year champ, number one team in the AFC for many, many years, or many seasons at least. So congratulations to Harris on that. Number two, Seahawks, Matty Ice over there. Again, he's been to the NFC Championship, I believe, every season during 20, went to the NFL, went to the FNG Super Bowl, I think 4 out of 5 years, won 2 of the seasons. So number 2 team is the Seahawks. Right there behind them, in that same division, one of our commish 49ers, number 3 seed, again, one of the top owners for many, many years, consistently 14, 15 game winner, back-and-back, trading losses with the Seahawks year in and year out. But most definitely, even though he may be a wild card team by definition, but definitely always one of the top 1 or 2 teams in the NFC. And then Trelly is the Baltimore Ravens, also undefeated AFC North champs year over year. again, at that 4th spot. And that's been pretty consistent throughout the last several seasons overall in FNG.
Easily.
You know, true, you know, tested warriors in this game. You know, tough outs anytime. A lot of times when you do see them with L's, it's because they beat one another. So, so congratulations again at the Chargers, Seahawks, 49ers, and Rams.
Raiders,
Ravens. I'm sorry, Ravens. Yes, Ravens at number 4. My apologies. At the 5th spot, we have the leaders of the, I guess the new king of the North, if you will. We have the Packers, who are undefeated right now at 3-0. After the Packers, we have the return of the, you know, FNG royalty, if you will, as you guys say, the boogeyman cast. Started off undefeated right now at 3-0 at the 6th spot. So again, we have Packers at 5, and we have the Broncos undefeated at 6. We're now getting into the one-loss teams. Right now, leading that round is the Atlanta Falcons after a big victory over the Chicago Bears, who were previously undefeated. So we have the Falcons at 7. Again, proven team, many time playoffs in both the AFC and also the NFC. But, you know, just transitioning over to the NFC over at South, he's going to be a tough out for those teams at the NFC, for sure. Bears at 8. Again, as I mentioned, they lost to the Falcons last week. Number 9 team has been a team that's been very competitive out there in the NFC West. So I'll give it out to the Cards. They've been a playoff team the last several seasons. You know, it'll be fun to watch, see what they do. You know, they couldn't get over the hump. The owner, at least, couldn't get over the hump over in the AFC West. But I think it's up to the challenge of some big-time competition over in the NFC West. It's only going to make you better when you're playing great competition. You know, as you guys know, iron sharpens iron. So he'll definitely be a tough out as he continues to play season over season. And then trailing that top 10, we have the AFC East number 1 team right now. They're at 3-1, and that's the Patriots of New England. Dorian Rhodes right now at a 10th spot. So to go down the line again, most of these teams were playoff teams in previous year. That probably carried more weight again than anything, considering we're only through 3 weeks right now. Hasn't been a lot of teams beating each other yet, but from 1 through 10, we have the Chargers, Seahawks, 49ers, and Ravens. Again, that's the FNG Elite, followed by the Packers, the Broncos, the Falcons at 7, Bears at 8, Cardinals at 9, and at the 10th spot, we have the Patriots. So congratulations on a great start for everybody at FNG. Again, I know we're all filling each other out, you know, so there's some teams that probably haven't won yet that are probably going to turn around really quick. There's some teams that are currently 3-0 that may face some tough teams over the next 4 or 5 weeks that you may see in a loss. So it'll be interesting to see where everybody is when we do our next update in a couple of weeks.
All right.
No doubt.
Anybody have anything else before we close it out? Because that's all I had. I know we're running a little long.
Good. Yeah, we ran long on this one.
Houston held on to win.
Houston won that game 24-14 or whatever.
27-14?
27-14. Okay.
Yeah, 27-14. And
That is a
Falcons
good
are playing
one.
the Packers.
Ooh.
It's a good game.
Good chance to turn it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
All right,
started
fellas.
broadcasting too.
I think we're good then, right?
All right, well, see you. You know, greetings until next show. Tune in next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
All right. Appreciate everybody. Have a good night.